Hi. So I had this idea of a general social media profile with an API that you can connect to Facebook or a social network platform that will emerge in the future. Because now the issue is that every time somebody tells me about a new social media platform that I should join, then just like you, I have to consider for myself if it's worth it. For example, when people actually pitched me about Twitter, back then I did not see any benefits for joining to Twitter and investing my time in order to develop my profile and influence over there because I already was so invested in Facebook and I used to have my own group and community that I manage in Facebook, and I used to have a public page that I manage in Facebook. For those of you who follow me, you probably know that I'm talking about Start UX Facebook community, and as well as iBarrel, which is my professional public Facebook page for those who are interested to follow me about tech and posts about technology. So I already was very invested in Facebook and I still am. So I never took the time to actually develop my Twitter account. But contrary to it, I always kept my LinkedIn profile up to date. I joined LinkedIn back in 2011, so it's 10 years. Wow, I just realized that I'm on LinkedIn for 10 years now because now it's 2021. Anyways, and later on, I think in 2011, 2012, I joined Twitter. But contrary to LinkedIn, Twitter never gave me something back because it's just a micro blogging platform, and I always thought it's dumb. Basically, it's very dumb. It's good for those of us who don't have time and sometimes we want to share something with the world and just drop few lines and send it. But whenever you want to actually communicate more broad ideas or basically messages, it becomes very tricky because who the hell has the time to actually shoot bunch of tweets at once. On Facebook, I just write without the concern of if my post is too long or too short. I'm just writing and sending it. So I'm thinking about closing my Twitter account, and now people are saying to me that I should join Clubhouse. So I've been thinking about some sort of one profile, and I guess I have something with short catchy names because back in Microsoft, when me and one of my best friends at Microsoft, we formed an idea that eventually was an award-winning idea for Microsoft employees competing in Microsoft internal hackathon project. We called it One Album. You can Google it and check it in my portfolio. Anyways, I thought about something similar that I'm calling it. The initial name is obviously One Profile with capital P. And the idea is basically to have some sort of your own personal profile with your pictures or everything that you want to share with the world, your status and posting archive, bio obviously, and everything that you manage in one place. And then, because there are so many social networks that are coming up almost on daily basis, I thought about signing in with these other social networks from your one profile account. Obviously, we will have to have some sort of API to make it work with other social networks. And yes, it's against Facebook and Twitter and other guys' interest because they all want your data. And signing in means that in some way they will aggregate and even scrape your data in order to copy it to their servers. So security features must be in place in order to enable you to join some new social media or even an old social media platform. And if you don't like it, after a while, you can eject. And the ideal approach would be that your data never leaves behind. So whenever you decide to eject and remove your profile, or you actually quit this specific social media, then your data should not remain in their hands. And it's problematic. So this would be one primary challenge that I see in this kind of approach. But the benefits are huge, because think about it. You have one profile. You manage everything in this specific profile. So your bio, your pictures, your profile picture, your cover picture, and everything in one place. Then when you join, for example, to LinkedIn, you can obviously choose to not expose your personal, pictures that you have in your profile, because it's not relevant to LinkedIn. But obviously your bio is very relevant to LinkedIn. And contrary to LinkedIn scenario, when you join, for example, a new platform that is, or maybe will be a competitor to Facebook, then you will be able to actually join this one, and you can choose to not show and expose your bio because it's not relevant to Facebook-like social medias, but your pictures and your hobbies and stuff like this is very relevant. So the second issue obviously would be not only security, but what you choose to share with this specific platform. And other issue would be how you maintain people's data on such a one centralized profile that will allow people to actually join different kind of services. So obviously this kind of thing should be on some sort of blockchain platform. Why blockchain? Because even I, as a founder, as a future founder of such a project, such a product, such a service, or even a non-profit organization, even I don't want to have your data in custody, just like, for example, Mark Zuckerberg does with our data, or even worse, Jack Dorsey does with our data now. Everybody is mad about Facebook. Even Apple has declared war on Facebook with their privacy issues, and Zuckerberg is sort of fighting back, because obviously he has his bias and he's so invested in his company. But on this kind of issues, I tend to agree with Apple. So Tim Cook, have a good luck, because what you're doing right now is very important. Although I'm not a fanboy, I'm not an Apple fanboy anymore. After 20 years with my Mac computer, I've set myself free and I'm using Linux now. Although I think that in the work environment, I will still use Mac for the years to come. It's sad to see that even Tim Cook uses privacy as a PR stunt, basically, because obviously Apple is not what it used to be. Right now they are selling services and not only products. And obviously in the recent versions of macOS and iOS, they are even collecting telemetry data, just like Windows. But at least in Mac and iOS, you can actually disable this telemetry data, just like in Android. So there is pros and cons. Anyways, to summarize it, blockchain, I think, is the future. And every time somebody creates a new social media platform that is not blockchained, well, we should be able to actually manage our data without giving them everything. And yes, there are gonna be some future issues. For example, Facebook communities. Obviously, if you have your personal profile and your posts that you've shared, then everything is in one place, because your profile lives in this one profile platform on blockchain. But what happens when you go into other people's groups or communities, and then you help some other people and comment in their topics and groups? Are these gonna be a part of a huge puzzle that will be connected to your profile and will be kept in your one profile? And if so, when you move from Facebook to other platform, what happens when you move to another platform that there is no such a community called StartUX? What happens to your messages? What happens to other people's messages that are not on this platform right now? So there are some issues with this. Even now, when you decide to go to settings and backup your data and download your data to your computer, Facebook enables you to actually go ahead and back up your data, not only from your profile, but things that you've shared on other groups, Facebook pages and stuff like this. But when you download this data and you browse through it on your computer, you will see that the only thing that you can access is your profile data. Because everything that you've shared on Facebook groups, for example, is very messy, and it's almost like even Facebook couldn't manage, or maybe they didn't want it to manage to solve this issue, because obviously they have, as I've said before, Facebook is biased. They want to keep us on their platform and they want to keep all of our data to themselves. So maybe they don't want us to actually be able to download this valuable content to our computers. And maybe it's because, once again, technologically it's very complex. But to summarize, we had few issues that I've raised. If you are thinking about more issues or maybe solutions to these issues, feel free to share with me. See you in the next one. Bye bye, take care.